man, oh 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 man. Wahoo!
Alright you guys, so this is my first legit exhaust system. I am so excited about this. Everything that I've had on this car before has been the falling apart stock stuff, even on my EK. So man, I am so excited. And I want to give a huge thank you to Real Street Performance. Go ahead and check them out in the link below. They really helped me out in getting the system. Robert and Russ, pleasure working with you guys. Thank you so much. Let's get into this. Okay, yeah. Oh my goodness. First piece of the piping. The main section here that comes out from behind the test pipe. Whoa, I love that matte color. Whoa. Oh man. So this guy right here, I think is gonna be the bend right before the rear LCAs. Whoa. Okay. Oh my goodness. It looks so good. Oh my god. And then here we have all the gaskets and the screws. Oh my god, you guys.
All right, here, not for nothing, this is a new Blocks piece that I picked up too. Never bought anything from Blocks, but I'll tell you what, man, this test pipe that I got here looks really nice.
Woo-hoo-hoo. Like I said, I've never bought a Blocks piece before, but man, I don't know. As far as these welds go, they look really nice. Really cool looking piece, man.
Let me add the test pipe down here. And now let me get this header that you all remember. This came off that D16 Z6 that I bought. So it's not the greatest, newest piece, but this is going back on. And this right here is going to be my new exhaust system. It looks so good, doesn't it? Okay, so let me talk to you guys about some specs on this thing. This is the HKS Hi Power system. Now this is a full catback system. I of course deleted the cat and I'm going to be running the test pipe. So the system that I chose is the 55 millimeter or 2.1 inch exhaust piping. That all leads out and dumps into a canister, the N1 style canister at the end, which is 96 millimeters. It looks so good in person, man. That size piping is actually the smallest in the range of the HKS systems. They go all the way up to much bigger sizes for turbo applications. But for my small displacement, low horsepower D16Y8, I think this setup is going to be just perfect for that naturally aspirated, high revving engine. So let's go through what's going to be my new entire exhaust system here. Starting up at the front with the exhaust manifold. So that 4-2-1 design, you know, it's supposed to be better for low to mid-range torque. And that's, you know, not really what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something that's going to be higher end horsepower, mid to high. You know, on track I live between 3,500 and, you know, pretty much 6,400 RPM. That's not the best header, but it's going to be better than that stock cast iron piece that I have. It's going to flow much better. But really what I want to be getting into is in the 4-into-1 design. That's supposed to flow much better and be better for the mid to higher end horsepower numbers. Those tubes, I doubt they're equal length or anything like that, but they all dump out into what is a 2-inch collector at the very end, and that's what's going to connect up to my test pipe. Now there was a bunch of different test pipes out there on the market, some super cheapies, you know, that you can get from eBay, and I think they would be fine, but my big problem with those was that I couldn't find a size under 2.5 inches. Really, I don't want to get anything too big, you know? Like I said, the exhaust manifold comes out from a 2-inch, so if it would then go into a 2.5, then back into my 2.1 inch exhaust piping from the HKS system, I think that would be a real too much of a disruption in the flow. Again, this is just from what I understand, okay? The exhaust gases would expand in the 2.5 inch. It's slowing them down essentially. Then they all have to get, forced back in through this 2.1 inch tubing. It's gonna slow down the flow. It's not the best, Will that really matter, when I'm such low horsepower? No. But, if you start getting into tuning and stuff like that later down the line, I think it could make a difference. So I went with the Blocks test pipe here, which I'm really happy with. I've never bought anything from them before, but man, it looks great. This is a 2.25 inch test pipe, deleting the cat, of course. And I think that was the right way to go. Again, Real Street Performance hooked me up with this thing. Going from the 2-inch collector of the exhaust manifold to then the 2.25 inch, the exhaust flow isn't going to be disrupted as much. And then again, it goes back into the HKS system. Here we go with the HKS system. 2.1 inch, it says 55 millimeter when you're going to buy it. That comes out to 2.165, something like that. But 2.1 inch system, yeah, that piping all the way through, and then it dumps out in that N1 style canister, which is 96 millimeters. It's a little over 3 inches. It looks so good, man. Alright, so let's get a look at this thing under here. Obviously it's not all hooked up, but this is what I love about this system, aesthetically anyway. What is so cool to me about it is the angle of attack that this thing comes out of the back bumper. It's going to be angled like that, and that's due to the exhaust piping being routed in a different way. It may be both an advantage and a disadvantage in this system. Anything is going to have its pros and cons to it. But so here what you're seeing is the exhaust piping actually is going to bend underneath the rear subframe there. So most systems, will come up over this rear LCA. This one actually goes underneath the rear subframe here and then exits out through the normal path there. The advantage of that, from what I understand, is that you can run the thickest sway bars back here and there will be no interference. And that sounds really good to me. If I remember, I've seen that there are issues when you're running thicker rear sway bars back here because the exhaust piping and the LCAs and all can get in the way of the sway bar end links. But so obviously a disadvantage to that is that you're going to lose a little bit of ground clearance. The way that's going to hang down beneath there, it looks like it comes out underneath the subframe there, but you'll probably lose a couple of inches there with that piping being in the way. And then with the hangers here, you'll notice they're pretty long. You definitely lose a little bit of ground clearance here in the back with that hanging up. But so that's one of those things where, I was okay with the trade-off. It ticked off all the boxes for me. It was the right size. The 2.1 inch I think is going to be perfect, especially when I go ahead and get this thing tuned. It comes out underneath the rear subframe like that, so you can run a nice thick rear sway bar, which I do believe I'm going to end up doing, so that's awesome too. And the third thing, it just looks fantastic. I love the way that N1 style muffler comes out and in an angle like that. It just looks unique to me, really cool, unlike any other exhaust system. And yeah, to me, it's worth that trade-off of possibly losing a little bit of ground clearance. You see how my car sits now? It is definitely not slammed, nor will it ever be. I need to have some gap in between my wheel and the body when I'm going over these curbs that are pretty aggressive at the firm. It's just going to be a trial and error thing. I hope I don't eat my words on that, saying, ground clearance won't be the biggest thing. I don't believe it will be, but, we got to get out there and find out. To me, this is one of those things where I'm like, I really want to go for that HKS system. It just seemed like the one for me. So I was actually looking at the Buddy Club system at first, the Spec 2. It just seemed like a race car thing to me. It's just a straight pipe all the way back, and yeah, it's just gonna open everything up. There were a couple things that drew me away from that system though. Probably the biggest one being that it is so freaking loud. Everyone says it is just crazy loud, and I I'm already pretty loud, but I don't really want to be that guy who's just like, blah! You know, screaming, and everyone's like, God damn, he's not even moving anywhere, you know, and it's screaming. But no, like for real, the biggest problem with that was, believe it or not, at these tracks, you do have sound limits, like decibel limits. Because there are surrounding towns to these places, they have agreements with these towns typically that you can't overreach a certain decibel. And I was nervous that the Buddy Club system would be reaching that, just from what everyone says about it and from, you know, just the clips that I've heard. Obviously, it's hard to tell, you know, over the internet exactly how loud something is. But so the other thing that detracted me from it is that the exhaust piping of the Buddy Club is actually 2.5 inches. That's really big, especially for an NA series engine. So that really kind of turned me off on it, and I think it's an awesome system. I love this straight pipe design and all that. I'm not saying I wouldn't ever get one, but for me at this stage of my build, it wasn't for me. This HKS, just like I said, ticked all the boxes, man. And yeah, that's the one I went with. Again, thank you to Real Street Performance for that. They really helped me out big on this one. So yeah, please check them out if you guys need some parts or anything. They're local to Florida here, and they ship all over. And I got these parts really quick. So yeah, thank you again to Robert and Russ and Real Street Performance. Obviously, what I'm going to be getting on next is installing this bad boy. I cannot wait to hear how it sounds, and I hope that it can translate to the camera well. Obviously, my microphone on my camera is not that great, but we'll see how that comes out. And yeah, I can't wait to get this thing on the car. We got 2 weeks till we get to the racetrack. And again, I am filming this previously, so by the time you see it, track day would have been well over. But we will be announcing real time when we'll be going back out to the track, and we would definitely like to invite you all along. So thank you for watching. Talk to you in the next one.